So I'm going to repeat what I just said before. So welcome everyone to this class. And this week, all you have to do is just do your rough draft. Not rough draft, just do your outline. And so remember that the 3 stages of the writing process is pre-writing, in which you write your outline, so that's your week 2 assignment. Then writing, in which you write your rough draft, which would be your week 4 assignment. And then rewriting and revision, which would be your week 6 final draft. So 2, 4, 6, you're going to be, during those weeks, you're going to be doing the writing process. So week 2 is the first step of that writing process, where you're going to write an outline of your week 1 paper. Now, if you can't think of a topic for your paper, then I provided for you a topic for you, which is I became a nurse because. Reason 1, reason 2, reason 3. And it's within those reasons that you are going to provide your stories. For example, if you would say, I became a nurse because I like to help people, I want a stable job, and I want to be a role model for my kids. Then you would write, I want to help people, and then you could write a little story about why you want to help people. I want to be a role model for my kids. Then you write a little 5-sentence story about why you want to be a role model for your kids. I want a stable job with benefits. And then you write a little story, 5-sentence story about why you want a stable job with benefits. Then you have your conclusion, where you restate the thesis in the first sentence and you summarize your essay. And so to go over that again, when you have your introduction, okay, you are going to have a hook, then you're going to write 5 background sentences on why you decided, what made you decide to go become a nurse. Ever since you were little, or was it because you took care of someone, that sort of thing. So that's 5 sentences. And then the last sentence of the introduction will be the thesis statement. I became a nurse because. Reason 1, reason 2, reason 3. And like I said before, in each of the body paragraphs, that's where you're going to put your story. So without further ado, I am going to go over the week 3 quiz prep, okay? So that next week you'll be ready for your week 3, and I'm also going to go over the week 3 forum. Now for those of you who went ahead and already did the forum, week 3 forum, I will grade your week 3 forum when week 3 starts. So you're way ahead of me. You're more than welcome to go ahead and do the other forums like week 5, 7, 9, and 11 if you want. And then when the rest of the class catches up to you, and when it becomes week 5, then I will grade week 5. So this way it keeps everybody on track, especially myself. So without further ado, for this lecture, I'm going to go over the week 3 quiz. So I will share my screen, and then we're going to see the week, and that's what I'm going to share. All right, so welcome to week 2. This is my 2nd time doing a live lecture. And when you guys first come on, just say hello so that I know you're there. Because otherwise I don't get to see you. When I'm sharing the screen, I just see myself, which is really boring. Anyway, so in this session, we're going to go over week 3 quiz prep. We're going to go over what the week 3 forum is going to be about. And we're going to do the week 2 assignment prep, what is a narrative essay? So, what is a narrative essay? A narrative essay is a story about your life. We haven't started yet the quiz 3 prep, okay, so that's going to come up. I'll tell you when we start the week 3 quiz prep. So what is a narrative essay? A narrative essay is a story about your life. You tell a story from your life that teaches a life lesson. But when we write an essay, unlike a story, you have to have a thesis statement with 3 reasons that matches the thesis statement. But when you have a thesis statement with body paragraphs that matches the thesis statement, this is known as the 5 paragraph essay structure. I'm going to go over that a lot more detail after I go over the week 3 quiz. So make sure that your outline follows this structure. In the week 3 forum, we will play a food game to practice descriptive language. So I will give you more examples after I go over the week 3 quiz. Here's an example. Now, you don't have to make a graphic like this. Instead, all you're going to do for your week 3 forum is you're going to describe something, a food, but you're not going to name it. And everyone else has to guess what your food is. So you're going to describe. People put tomato sauce and cheese on me. I am thin, round, and flat. I am made of bread dough. I am delicious to eat. I come from Italy. The cook tosses me in the air to thin me out. They sell a lot of me in this store. Domino's, Papa John's, Brooklyn's Original Blank. Those are all my brands. What am I? Okay, and so you have to guess. Then everyone else, that's your initial post. So your initial post is going to be a food that everybody has to guess. This is a really fun game, and most students tell me that out of all of the forums, this is the most fun. So this is what you're going to be doing for week 3 forum. And then that's due, this initial post is due Wednesday. Then you have until Sunday in order to guess everyone else's. You try to guess 2 of them, other people's. So that's what you're going to be doing for the week 3 forum. It's fun. Okay, let's go and do the week 3 quiz. So the first item in the week 3 quiz is adjective versus adverb. An adjective modifies a noun. A noun is a person, place, or thing. A verb is an action or state. An adverb modifies a verb. So words ending in ly are adverbs. So here you have John rode his horse slowly. Slowly is an adverb that modifies the verb rode. Rodney drove his car too rapidly. Rapidly is an adverb that modifies the verb drive. So adverbs can be used anywhere in the sentence. You can say rapidly, Rodney drove his car. Rodney rapidly drove his car. Or you can say Rodney drove his car rapidly. An adjective modifies a noun and comes before the noun. And so most adjectives, in other languages, the adjective may come after the noun, but in English, the adjective comes before the noun. So here in English, you can't say John is writer slow. However, if you speak Spanish, you can do that. You can say writer slow. And French also. Rodney is driver fast is not correct. So you have to say John is a slow writer. So slow is an adjective that modifies the noun writer. Fast is an adjective that modifies the noun driver. Here, there are some exceptions. So adjectives can come after the noun, but only in a sentence, after the verb to be. So here you would have Rodney is smart. So here you have the adjective that modifies Rodney, but it only occurs if you have is, are, were, was, and any kind of verb that talks about state of mind. So, did someone just come into the classroom? Oh, if you did, just say hi, so I know you're there. So now I'm going over adjectives. So an adjective always modifies a noun, and the only time you have an adjective that comes after the noun is when you have a sentence with a to-be verb. So let's see if somebody came in today. No, okay. So I guess nobody came in. All right, so let me go and do this again. Share. So Clark is tall. Tall is an adjective that modifies the noun Clark. The handsomely man dresses handsomely in a fancy suit. And so since you know that an adjective always comes before the noun, then that means that the answer to this question is the handsome man. And since we know that an adverb always modifies a verb, so therefore we know the handsome man dresses handsomely in a fancy suit. So it is handsome, it is a handsome man, since handsome is an adjective that modifies a noun, and then handsomely, okay, it's in other words, how were you paid? I was paid handsomely. So an adverb modifies a verb, while an adjective modifies an adjective. So handsomely is an adverb that modifies how well I was paid. So here's an example of something you will see on your quiz. Robert snored loudly. Is loudly an adjective or adverb? And so here, any word that ends in ly is an adverb. Okay, so that's how you can tell that loudly is an adverb, because it ends in ly. So the answer to this question is B. So most words that end in ly is an adverb. Okay, so getting on to the next part, the difference between an object pronoun and a subject pronoun. So first, a pronoun is a noun that replaces another noun. An object pronoun is a pronoun used as an object. Object pronouns are located after the verb. So examples of object pronouns are us, him, her, them, you, me, it. So John gave me money. He, so me in this case, is the object pronoun, because who did you give the money to? Well, you gave it to me, so I'm the object. In other words, the target to which you are giving something to. Okay, so it's the target object. So that's what an object pronoun is. After the verb, what is it that happens after the verb? So that is an object pronoun. And then here, us, him, her, them, you, me, it are examples of object pronouns. A subject pronoun is a pronoun used as a subject, and subject pronouns are located before the verb. So examples of subject pronouns: I, he, she, they, we, you, it. So she is a great dancer. She is a subject pronoun that comes before the verb. I gave her all my money. Her is an object pronoun that comes after the verb. So you can always tell what kind of pronoun it is by just seeing if the pronoun comes before the verb or if the pronoun comes after the verb. If the pronoun comes after the verb, it's an object pronoun, him, her, us. And if it is a subject pronoun, it's a subject pronoun if it comes before the verb, he, she, they. Okay? So on the quiz, they will ask you, is the pronoun in the sentence a subject pronoun or an object pronoun? So then you have to know to see whether or not that does the pronoun come before the noun? Does the pronoun come before the verb? Then you know it's a subject pronoun. Does the pronoun come after the verb? Then it's an object pronoun. So you have to know how to recognize what is a subject pronoun and what is an object pronoun. So you have to memorize that I, he, she, they, we, you, it are subject pronouns, while us, him, her, them, you, me, it are object pronouns. Because they're not going to tell you which word is the pronoun. They're just going to ask you, is the pronoun in this sentence a subject or object pronoun? And then they're going to give you the sentence, not underline anything. So you're going to have to know to recognize an object versus a subject pronoun. I'll give you an example of that in a second. So here, she gave us money. So here in this sentence you have both an object and a subject pronoun. So she is the subject pronoun because it comes before the verb and acts as a subject. Us is the object pronoun because it comes after the verb. So so here's an example from your quiz. The apples spoiled due to the humid weather. What pronoun would replace apples? And since apples comes before the verb, we're going to use a subject pronoun, they. So they spoiled due to the humid weather. So here, they replaces apples. Okay? So since we're replacing a pronoun that's before the verb, it's a subject pronoun, he, she, they. John sent Jimmy on an errand. What pronoun would replace Jimmy? So what would I replace this with? And since Jimmy comes after the verb, therefore we need an object pronoun, such as John sent him on an errand. So correct answer, Jimmy comes after the verb, so it is the object of the verb, it's the object of the sentence, so it is replaced by the object pronoun him. So that pretty much summarizes what is the difference between an object and a subject pronoun. An object pronoun is a pronoun that comes after the verb, and a subject pronoun is a pronoun that comes before the verb. Possessive pronouns. Possessive pronouns like his, hers, theirs, ours, yours, its, mine, my, his, her, their, yours, its, all show possession. So you would say, this is my book, this is mine. And so when you have my book, this means that I own that book. And then if you want to replace my book, you would replace it with mine. This is his book. This is his. This is her book. This is hers. This is their book. This is theirs. And so these pronouns will replace these pronouns, okay? That's why my goes with mine. Her goes with hers. That way you don't have to say, this is my book, my book, my book, my book. Instead, you would say, this is mine. And then you would point to it. So this shortens the sentence, okay? John's neighbor is blind. And then every time you want to show possession, you would have apostrophe S. So apostrophe S is used in both contractions and to show possession. And so in this case, John's neighbor is blind. This is his Braille book. This book is his. And so that's how you would do the possession. The dog wagged its tail. And here, its stands for the contraction. It is. So therefore, that's not correct. So that means the correct answer is the possessive pronoun, the dog wagged its tails, I-T-S. It's a nice day. And so here, the I-T apostrophe S stands for it is. My car lost its rear license plate. Same thing. We use ITS without the apostrophe S, because if we use apostrophe S, it means it is. So you should also go over all of your contractions so that you can know the difference between a contraction and a possessive pronoun. People get mixed up with that all the time. So this book is yours or yours. So the possessive pronoun form is without the apostrophe S. So then the answer to this one is this. The mayor said that the task of cutting the budget was not hers, hers, hers. And so the answer is just simply hers. So whenever you are talking about possessive, you have to remember his, hers, theirs, ours, yours, its, mine. And you notice that in all of that, there is no apostrophe S. That's what you have to memorize. What is a possessive pronoun? A possessive pronoun is his, hers, theirs, ours, yours, its, mine, and you. And so that doesn't have the apostrophe S. This book of his or his is boring. And so here we know it's his, H-I-S. He's a nice man, because the other one, he apostrophe S, means he is. And then another point of confusion among students is the difference between there and their. And so this there is a pronoun used as a possessive. This car is theirs. This is their car. Okay, T-H-E-I-R. Then if you want to use T-H-E-R-E, there is a car in the garage. That is correct. Their car is red. You cannot say their car. You cannot use the possessive pronoun there at the beginning of a sentence with there is a car. And you also cannot use the possessive pronoun theirs at the beginning of a sentence. Instead, you would use that one, okay? And we don't say this car is theirs or theirs. The correct form is this car is theirs. So once again, I will go over the form: his, hers, theirs, ours, yours, its, mine. And so you need to memorize that form and that format. And then you've got to memorize contractions, because a lot of contractions get confused with possessive pronouns. So you need to memorize he's means he is, she's means she is, its means it is, theirs means there is. And those are contractions. Contractions mean that we make the words smaller in order. That's why contractions are used in conversational English. And so when you are speaking to your friends and family, we use contractions. But when we write our academic papers, we write out our contractions. So instead of saying he's a nice man, you would say he is a nice man when you write your essays. Okay, so that's it for the difference between his, hers, theirs, yours, its, and mine, and possessive pronouns. Next thing I'm going to talk about are demonstrative pronouns. Demonstrative pronouns are used to demonstrate the location of a book. So if I say, this pen is near me, this pen is mine. But if the pen is far away from you, I would say, that pen is mine. Okay? So demonstrative means that you're demonstrating where something is, and the proximity, whether it's near you, this, and far from you, that. If you have more than one book, you would say these books, which is near me, or these pens, which is near me, are blue, blue ink. Those pens are far from you, plural. So that's what a demonstrative pronoun does, is it demonstrates the location of nearness or farness to you. So you can't say, and so you cannot say their house is old. The correct way of saying that is this house is old. You cannot say that their beer is stale. You have to say that beer is stale. You cannot say them shoes are smelly. You have to say these shoes are smelly, those shoes are smelly, or even they are smelly. But you cannot say them shoes, because them is a object pronoun, and we never put the object pronoun in front of the verb. Okay? We always put the object pronoun after the verb. So us, them, we are all object pronouns that come after the verb. And then we use subject pronouns, he, she, they, that come before the noun. That's why we use they. So everybody good on demonstrative pronouns? Pretty easy. It just shows you where something is in relations to where you are. Comparative. So when we have a comparative, we're comparing two things, and only two things. If we're going to compare three things, it becomes a superlative. And so when we have a comparative, we use ER when you have an adjective that's less than one syllable. So you would say, John is smarter than Jan. So smart has one syllable, and therefore you add ER. So John is smarter than Jan. Jan is taller than Steve. And so tall is also an adjective, but has one syllable. And therefore, and you're comparing two things. So you say ER. We cannot say in English, Jack is more better at math than Steve, because there's no such word formation as more better. And also better has two syllables. So that's one of the exceptions. The correct way of saying it is Jack is better at math than Steve. You also cannot say Jack is less better at math than Steve, because there's no such word formation as less better. And in here, you have an adjective that's more than one syllable. Remember, if it's one syllable, you can just add an ER. John is smarter than Jan. But here, intelligent. Intelligent has 4 syllables. So if it has more than 1 syllable, like 2 syllables, you have to use more than and less than. So we don't use, well, you can say John is more smart than, but that doesn't sound right. You could also tell by listening to it. Steve is more intelligent than Jack. Jack is less intelligent than Steve. So here is an actual quiz question. The stranger or strangest of the 2 pictures featured an owl with 3 eyes. So is this a comparative or is this a superlative? And so here it actually tells you 2 pictures. So therefore, since we're comparing 2 things, then we go back to ER. So remember that when we have a comparative, we're comparing 2 things and only 2 things. If we're comparing more than 2 things, such as a comparison of a person to a group of people, then it becomes a superlative, and you're going to add EST. So John is the smartest student in the class. So I'm comparing John to 25 other people in the class. Typically a class has 25 people. So therefore it becomes a superlative. If I'm just comparing John to Jack, John is smarter than Jack, then I would use a comparative. So that's the difference between once you have a comparative, it's ER, and then once you have a superlative, it's EST. That's how you can tell the difference. Jack is the dumbest student in the class. So once again, you have Jack compared to a whole class of people, and therefore more than one, and comparing him to more than one person, so therefore it's a superlative, and you use EST. The Eiffel Tower is the prettiest monument in the world. So now we're comparing the Eiffel Tower to all of the other monuments in the whole world, and that's more than 2. So therefore we use a superlative, EST. And once again, you have 1 syllable, smart, dumb, pretty. So if it becomes more than 1 or 2 syllables, then you're going to use least intelligent, most intelligent. Intelligent has 4 syllables, intelligent. So we don't use EST anymore, and we end up with least intelligent, most intelligent. So Jack is the least intelligent person in the school. Robert is the most intelligent person in the school. Now, if there's only 1 syllable, like smart, then I would say Robert is the smartest student in the school. We don't say Robert is the most smart. You could, but it's not totally correct. It's very colloquial. Antecedent. A noun that the pronoun replaces. Oh, an antecedent is a noun that the pronoun replaces, and the antecedent always agrees with the pronoun. A pronoun always agrees with its antecedents. Pronouns and antecedents should agree in gender and number. So you need to remember this for the quiz. What does that mean? Okay, so here you have Jack. Jack is a noun, because a noun is a person, place, or thing. Then you have a pronoun, he. So Jack is a smart man. He reads books every day. And so the pronoun he refers back to the antecedent Jack. And so therefore, the antecedent is merely the noun that he replaces. So whomever that he refers back to, that's known as an antecedent. And your antecedent has to agree in gender. So if I say Jack, I can't say she. So if Jack is a guy, we have to say he. And also, the pronoun has to agree in not only in gender, but also in number. So if I just have Jack, it becomes he. If I have Jack and Jill, it becomes they. So a plural antecedent takes a plural pronoun, just like with your subject-verb agreement, that has to agree with everything, okay? So that your antecedent and the pronoun has to agree. So you have to say Jackie, she. So that's agreeing in gender. And then Jackie and John, they. So that's agreeing in number. So you have to remember that an antecedent has to agree with, the pronoun has to agree with an antecedent is a noun that replaces a pronoun, and it always agrees, pronouns and antecedents always agree in gender or number. So you need to remember that for a quiz. So after a comparative, you have a subject pronoun. So if you were to say, Veli plays better piano than I. We don't say Veli plays better piano than me. Okay? So that's wrong. So that's also a common mistake that students make. Okay? So then you would say, Veli plays better piano than I do. The do is understood in English, but most people don't bother saying the do. So therefore, Veli plays better piano than I do. Jack plays worse golf than John and Jack. Then you would say, Jack plays worse golf than they do. Jack plays worse golf than they. So that's basically, you have to remember, and remember, a subject pronoun is a pronoun that comes before the verb. Jack plays worse golf than them. That's wrong. You have to say Jack plays worse golf than they, because you want to have the subject pronoun that comes after a comparative. So now I'm going to go over the week 3 quiz practice. If you can score 100% on this practice quiz, then you're ready to take the actual quiz. So how many of you are now excited and now ready to take the practice quiz? For if you can do the practice quiz and get a 100%, it's easy sailing for your quiz. Now, if you want to retake the quiz, you just have to email me, and then I will give you access to retake the quiz again. So here I'm going to go over, let me go to share screen. Yeah. All right, so let's start practicing for the quiz. This is usually the favorite part. If I do have students that come to my lectures, this is usually the most favorite part of the lecture. So here, your piano practice proved that you practice more than they. Is the pronoun in this sentence an object or a subject pronoun? We just went over this. Okay, so prove that you practice more than they. Here you have a comparative. So if you have a comparative, you gotta use a subject pronoun. I just went over that Jack plays worse golf than they do. Jack plays worse golf than they. So therefore, more than is a comparative, and therefore they. So the answer to this one is subject pronoun, because do is understood. So you would have your piano practice proved that you practiced more than they do, or they did. Here's the actual example. So that's why you've got to study all of these examples, memorize them, and understand the grammar concepts, and then and then all of these grammar concepts will then appear in your quiz. Let's try number 2. We could not have asked for, is it a better teacher or more better teacher? So I already told you that in English, there's no such thing as more better. That just doesn't exist in English. So we always say, we could not have asked for a better teacher. Which of the following is true about pronoun antecedent agreement? Pronouns and antecedents should not agree in gender or number. Pronouns and antecedents should agree in gender or number. And then the answer is B. Remember, if I say John, he, so that's agreeing in gender. Jack, Jacqueline, she, okay, once again, number, a gender. And if I say Jack and Jill went up the hill, then it's agreeing they in number. So therefore, the pronoun and antecedents should agree in gender or number. Number 4, William took his classes very serious or seriously. And so here we're talking about his classes. We're talking about how well he took his classes. So we're looking for something that modifies a verb. So therefore the answer is B. William took his classes very seriously, because here you have the noun, and then you have adverb. Remember, an adverb can go anywhere in the sentence. I could say seriously, William took his classes. William took his classes seriously. William seriously took his classes. So an adverb is very flexible. But if I had said something like, William took his smart classes, if the blank is over here, if I were to put the blank like this, then you would be, and I got rid of this one. So let's say I did this. Then it would be smart, because then the adjective, it would be an adjective because it comes before the noun. All right? So that's how you know that this is an adverb, because it comes after the verb in this case, and also whenever you have the word very. Very always takes some kind of adverb afterwards. Very seriously. Very, I can't even think of a whole bunch of examples. But anyway, so that's one of the hints that it's an adverb, is the word very. And anytime you have a word that ends in ly, that's always an adverb. And an adverb modifies the verb. In other words, it modifies how well he took his classes. Did he take it lightly, or did he take it seriously? So took. So it modifies the verb to take. The clothes that Laura gave my sister and me were too small. Is the pronoun in this sentence an object or subject pronoun? This is an example of, okay, which one of these words in this sentence is actually a pronoun? You could get lost. So you have to memorize that the object pronoun is me, that the pronoun is me in this sentence. Then you have to ask yourself, does the me come before the verb or after the verb? If the me comes after the verb, then that means it's an object pronoun. Okay? So you got to memorize that me, us, them, those are all, and him and her are all object pronouns. Subject pronouns come before the verb. All right. Which is the correct answer? What is the correct demonstrative pronoun in this sentence? Is it them two movies or those two movies? And once again, we don't put the object pronoun them before the verb. Them always comes after the verb. For example, about them. I wrote a book about them, for instance. Okay, so I could put it after the verb. So that means the correct answer is those two movies are about life in New England. Okay, so that's that. These and another thing you can remember is this, that, these, those. This book, that book, these books, those books always come before the verb most of the time. Okay, as the little boy snuggled the tiny kitten. So here, any word that comes directly before or after the verb usually is an adverb, okay? Because whenever you modify something, the modifier is very close to the word that it modifies, okay? So here you have, as the little boy gently snuggled the tiny kitten, the kitten purred. So that's how you know that the answer is gently. If I wanted to say, as the little gentle boy snuggled the tiny, so if I were to move the blank, once again, if I move the blank here, okay, and I got rid of the blank here. So let's say I changed the question to this. Would this be an adjective or an adverb? In this case, because it comes before the noun, you always have to know that an adjective can only come before the noun in English. In Spanish, you can do it the other way around. And same thing with French. But in English, the adjective always comes before the noun. So if I change the blank, then the answer becomes A. But on your quiz, the blank comes about here. As the little boy blank. Let's see. Why is this not working? There you go. As the little boy gently snuggled the tiny kitten, the kitten purred. So which adjective or adverb completes the sentence? and therefore the answer is gently. Tara told, is it most clever or more clever jokes I've ever heard? So is this a comparative or a superlative? And so here, they're comparing more than one joke, more than two jokes, because she's comparing all the jokes in the world, right? So Tara told the most clever, and also when you have the word the, that's a dead giveaway, that's a superlative, okay? Because when you got a comparative, you just have more than, less than, smarter than, dumber than. You don't have the dumber than, or the whatever it is, okay? The more than. Only when you have a superlative do you have the most clever jokes, the least prepared person, okay? So that's always got to be a superlative. So here you have Tara told the most clever jokes I've ever heard. So here you have a most clever is the correct answer. Jack entered that there dog, or is it that dog, in an obedience contest. What is the correct demonstrative pronoun for this sentence? So we cannot put that there dog. We have to write in that dog. So it's always this dog, that dog, these dogs, those dogs. What part of speech is there? And so we already know that there is a possessive pronoun because it replaces a noun. And it talks about possession. Their wallet was stolen. So if I were to say, Sandy and Jacqueline had a wallet stolen. Whose wallet? Their wallet was stolen. So their, T-H-E-I-R, replaces Jacqueline and whatever other name I made up. Forgot now. Jacqueline. John, yeah. So there becomes the pronoun, and it replaces the noun. He knocked on the door. What part of speech is the underlined term in the sentence? Here the answer is he. Because noun is a person, place, or thing, and a verb is action. But you might say, well, technically it could be a noun because you say it's a person, place, or thing, but you would have to look at which is the more correct answer. The more correct answer is pronoun. Now if I were to write John, okay, and I underlined it. Let's hope I can remember how to underline something. Control U, yeah. So here, if I say John knocked on the door, that would be a noun because it's not been replaced. If I replace John with he, it becomes a pronoun. So remember, a pronoun replaces a noun, replaces the noun, it replaces the antecedent, and has to agree in gender or number. So this is a tricky question because technically, yeah, it could be a noun. Yeah, and a lot of students say, but it's still a noun. But the more correct answer between the two of them, that's why they're pulling at straws. The more correct answer is the pronoun. So leave them or those keys on the coffee table. What is the correct demonstrative pronoun for this sentence? So we have to say leave those keys out on the coffee table. I know you're thinking, well, them comes after the verb. Well, that's after the verb if you have a subject, verb, and object sentence. This kind of sentence is known as the kind of sentence, a declarative sentence. This is a declarative sentence where you're ordering someone to do something, okay? So therefore, the understood subject is you, okay? So then we gotta say those keys out on the, and besides, they ask for a demonstrative pronoun. Them is not a demonstrative pronoun. Them is an object pronoun. Okay, so right away, if you memorize your parts of speech, if you memorize it that way, remember I said demonstrative demonstrates the time and location of something. So this book is near me, that book far away from me. These books, not books. Okay, let's do that again. This pen is near me. That pen is far away from me. And then if I had more than one pen, which I don't, so these pens and those pens. So those are all because you're demonstrating where something is. So it becomes leave those keys out on the coffee table. So are those seats theirs, theirs, theirs? And so you've got to memorize that your possessive pronouns are be, theirs. That's the correct possessive pronoun. It would be his, hers, yours, theirs, mine. So that is a possessive pronoun. What is the correct demonstrative pronoun? A demonstrative pronoun is this, that, these, those. And so it becomes those two movies are about life in early New England. I discovered that my car had somehow lost, let's see, it would be easier if I did it like this. I discovered that my car had somehow lost its rear license plate. And then you got to once again memorize that the possessive pronoun, his, mine, hers, its, theirs, and there's no apostrophe in it. And then you got to memorize that it is, he is, there, they are. You got to memorize your contractions as well, so you don't confuse it. The apples spoiled due to the humidity. What pronoun would best replace the noun apples? And so here you have the apples. Here you know that the apples is the subject of the sentence because it comes before the verb. Therefore, you would want a subject pronoun because the subject pronoun comes before the verb. And you can't say their apples because whose apples? Who are you talking about? Nobody has been mentioned. You've got to mention somebody first. You have to have an antecedent for it to replace. So if you want to replace just the word apples without any possession, then the answer is they, subject pronoun. What is the correct demonstrative pronoun for this sentence? It's this one's easy. This, that, these, those. So a demonstrative pronoun is always this, that, these, those. So this map is out of date. We're almost done. Number 18 is the last of the practice quiz. Okay, the stranger of the two pictures. So when you have when you're just comparing two things, you have a comparative. And if you're comparing more than two things, you have a superlative. And remember that comparatives are always ER because strange is only one syllable. And you're comparing two things, so it becomes an ER. Strangest would be if I say the strangest of the three pictures. If I said 5 pictures, then it becomes est, the strangest of the 5 pictures. Featured. So all I have to do is if I change this word to the strangest of the 5 pictures, for instance, okay, if I change it to more than 2, then it becomes a, strangest. But because I put in 2, that's why this is a trick question. Yeah, they're seeing if you're correctly, closely reading your sentence. Most people don't. And so that's why this is a very trick question. So here you have the stranger, because we're just comparing 2 things. And that's it. So whenever you're just comparing 2 things, it's a comparative. And then if you want, you can also practice here. Okay? These are not the actual questions, but close enough. And then you can do some extra practice. And then all of the answers, okay, the answers to your practice quiz 3. So that way you could check for yourself if you got 100% on the practice quiz. Here you can check for yourself if you got, 100% on the extra practice quiz, I call it. And so if you can get 100% on this practice quiz when you study through the lecture notes, then you can get a 100%. And you can find a copy of these lecture notes on the home page underneath Professor H's quiz resources lecture notes. Okay, so the lecture notes are the exact same thing. The lecture notes I posted on the home page are exactly the same thing that I'm using for my lectures. Okay, so that way you can you can copy and paste it into a Word document, or you can just print it off your Google Print. That's what one student told me. Okay. Now I'm going to go over, now for the rest of this, I'm just going to go over essays. Like I promised you, I was going to go over more about essay structure. So remember that there are 3 stages to the writing process. In the pre-writing stage, students choose a topic and narrow a topic. Second, students ask research questions to figure out what they want to write about. The answer to the research question becomes their thesis statement. Next, students write a thesis statement and include valid reasons to back up that thesis statement. Finally, students organize their ideas into an outline. So basically, in pre-writing, you create an outline. And then in the second stage, in writing, you transform that outline into 5-paragraph essay structure, where you have a thesis statement, 3 reasons, and then the body paragraph topic sentences match the reason. And the third stage, post-writing or rewriting, same thing, is when you revise your rough draft for essay structure mistakes or grammar mistakes. And then you hand it in. So here's an example of your pre-writing, okay? For this week, week 2, all you have to do is the pre-writing stage. So you're on stage 1 for week 2. So here is a sample worksheet. So per the guidelines of the assignment, choose your topic, like an event in your life that stands out as a learning experience. And so I chose never take somebody you love for granted. So when you write about the topic I chose, that would be your story title. Your working thesis, that should be a complete sentence. You should have a topic, an opinion, reasons, all in one declarative sentence that you're going to place as the last sentence of the first paragraph. So to avoid taking a loved one for granted, one should give that loved one love, time, and appreciation. So that was my thesis statement. And then my body paragraphs would become love, time, and appreciation. See how it's coherent? So basically, your body paragraphs echo your thesis statement. So here is the, one never knows how long anybody will live. Therefore, one should never take a loved one for granted. To avoid taking a loved one for granted, one should give them love, time, and appreciation. And then paragraph 1, paragraph 2 would be, I showed my loved one my love. I always gave my loved one time, and I always gave them appreciation. So time, love, and appreciation will become your subpoints. And then here I chose free writing. Why did you choose this topic? My mother died last March of 2020. And my mother died of coronavirus complications. And at the time, we didn't really know, what was wrong with her. And on the official death certificate, it said massive heart failure, but it happened so suddenly. And I think my father took my mother in at first for a stomach ailment because she just stopped eating, and she also had some flu-like symptoms. And so my father figured she had stomach flu and then was going to take her to the hospital to give her some antibiotics. And we didn't know about in March of 2020, and this is March, early March, before everybody announced, that it was coronavirus. And so we didn't know what was wrong with her. And eventually she was put on a ventilator. And it was at that time, when my mother passed, that I started thinking, all the times I told her, Mom, I'm busy right now because I'm working. Why don't you call me back some other time? And now I regret, all the times I did that because I took her for granted. And now I wish one last time I could hear her voice, I could talk to her, that sort of thing. So my mother died in March. I learned the hard lesson that I had taken her for granted. So I am now teaching others not to take your loved one for granted. Every day, I wish I'd given my mother more time and shown her more appreciation. What do you want others to learn? I want others to not take their loved ones for granted. And then here is my free writing exercise. So the doctor took out my mother's ventilator tube. The doctor said to my father, "There's nothing more I can do for her. Say your piece. She will not last more than an hour without the ventilator." My father approached the bed and softly touched my mother's cheek, and with tenderness in his eyes, he said, "I love you. I've always been proud of you." But when I looked at my father's face, I've never seen him look so defeated and so devastated. And it was the first time I saw my father crying. He was so sad. We were all crying. Then it was my turn, and I said to my mother, "I love you, and I'm sorry for all the times I was too busy to talk to you on the phone. Please forgive me, Mom." And her last words to me were, "I'm so proud of you. I love you." She never finished her sentence as she slipped peacefully into God's arms. So now you write your thesis statement. Okay, so here I wrote a little blurb, a 5-sentence story to set up the thesis statement. And then the thesis statement to avoid taking your loved one for granted, or to avoid taking one's loved one for granted, in order to avoid using you and your. So to avoid taking one's loved one for granted, one should give appreciation and time to one's loved one while they are alive, because one never knows. And why am I taking out the you and the your? When you take out you and your and just stick to third person case, you have a more professional, much more professional sounding essay. Okay, so if you show appreciation, I should have shown more, one should show love, appreciation, and give one time to one's loved one while they are still on earth, because you never know when they will be taken away to God. And it all happened so fast, and I had no idea she was just going to leave us so suddenly. And so that's my mother's story. So anyway, but for your essay, you can write about, so for me, that was my life-changing event. And so you can write about any life-changing event that you want, but if you can't think of any life-changing events or you're stuck, then you can write the most common topic students write about is, I became a nurse because. Reason 1, reason 2, reason 3. And then reason 1, reason 2, reason 3 will become your body paragraphs. And when your body paragraphs match the thesis, this is called the 5-paragraph essay structure. Your narrative essay needs to follow this structure to have essay coherence. And it's in these paragraphs that you're going to talk about your life, to make it about you. And here are some common reasons. If you get stuck coming up with reasons for becoming a nurse, I gathered all of the reasons students have given from past essays of why they became nurses. So students have told me, I want to be a role model for my children. I want a steady career with benefits. I want to help heal people and relieve them of pain. I love caring for people. I get a high level of job satisfaction from my job. I am well respected and well liked in my job. I love working with people and building relationships with people. I can switch jobs easily if I move. Nursing is exciting work, and I never have a dull day. As a nurse, I can choose from a variety of specialties. I want to be a travel nurse. I can travel the world and get paid a lot of money. I have plenty, as a nurse, I can get plenty of career development. As a nurse, I am in high demand. I want to make a difference in the world. I have plenty of professional development opportunities. I have a flexible work schedule. I can earn a great salary as I advance up the ranks. I want a steady career. I want to work as a nurse since it is an essential job to society, such as during a pandemic. I am a caring person. Others that was I cared for my grandfather. People have told me that I have a caring nature. I'll add that later. So other topics to write about. I started the Fortis program because the role model in my life is 3 major life lessons in my life are the happiest day of my life was when I got married, because going back to school is important to me, because, or the most embarrassing event of my life was when, and in my other class I had students write that the most embarrassing event in their life was they were dancing with their, they were at a dance, and he finally found this beautiful girl to dance with. As he was dancing, his pants fell off. Yeah, that was embarrassing. Yeah, and he was wearing some stupid looking underwear and stuff like that. And then he ran out of the room because his pants fell off. And he left his pants there too, because and his wallet and everything, he just ran out like that. And then later, the girl showed up at his doorstep. I mean, you have your address, in your wallet. And she was honest enough to give it back to him and tell him he's cute, And they started, and they got married later, but that's how they met. So that's a really funny story about the most embarrassing moment. I think he said the most embarrassing moment in my life led to me marrying my wife. That's how he completed this sentence. Okay, and then he talked about his pants dropping off, and he learned the lesson that he should, wear a belt. Obviously, he forgot to put the belt on or something. So that was his lesson, and most embarrassing anyway. Because, all right. So tell the embarrassment story in 5 sentences. Then write your 3 reasons in your thesis statement. Overview of the writing process in the upcoming weeks. So your week 2 assignment is going to be the pre-writing stage. The week 4 rough draft is going to be the writing stage. And week 6 is going to be the rewriting stage. And I think in week 5 you're going to we're going to do a peer review forum. So starting from week 5, 7, 9, and 11, they are all going to be peer review forums. And so that for the next lecture, I will devote an entire lecture on what is a peer review lecture, what is a peer review, and how do you do a peer review, and that sort of thing. So that's going to be, you can tell I'm nearing the end of this lecture when I start mentioning what the next lecture is going to be about. All right, so that's for your this week's week 2 outline. So all of this is about your week 2 outline, and you can use any of these reasons if you want, and then just add in your story. So you could choose any of these 3 reasons for your body paragraphs if you become blank. All right, and then I promised you that I would talk about the week 3 forum. So for your week 3 forum this week, you will be writing a descriptive paragraph. And some of you have already done it too. And just because I'm waiting until week 3 to grade your papers, that doesn't mean I'm trying to punish you. It just means that I'm trying to stay with the class and in order to do the work. And so when we get to week 3 and when we catch up to you, I will grade you. You will be the first papers or forum posts I will grade. So that leaves you free if you want to do week 11, week 12, but I won't grade it until the rest of the class, we catch up to you. Okay? So if you want to watch my other lessons that I posted on the home page, and then you want to go ahead and do all of the assignments, just be aware that I will grade it once we get to that week. This way I can keep track of what week I'm in and what I'm grading. Otherwise, it becomes so many, because I have so many classes. Everybody's on a different week. So this helps me focus on what week I'm on, to tell you the truth. So for your week 3 forum, you will be writing, now already 4 or 5 people have done a great job so far. You will be writing a descriptive paragraph about guessing food. You will be practicing how to write description. And when we write description, we want to appeal to all 5 human senses. You want to appeal to someone's sense of smell, someone's taste, someone's visual, someone's hearing. So you can talk about the smell of the pizza. Of course, without saying the word pizza, you could talk about how crunchy it is. So that would be tactile. And taste. Oh, it's very salty, okay? And so you're going to give us hints, and then that post, the initial food post, is going to be due on Wednesday. So an example, and I already read this in the beginning, right? I have a warm crust. On my crust are tomato sauce, cheese, and many toppings, such as pepperoni, anchovies, and meat. And this is exactly what I read already. But anyway, I come in many styles, such as New York, California, Hawaiian. Did you know Hawaiian style, they actually have pineapples on it? It actually tastes good. When I first saw that, when I first heard about pineapples on a pizza, I was doubtful. Oh, you can't say the word pizza. Anyway, so you say, in Hawaii, they put pineapples on my crust. But it actually tastes good, believe it or not, the pineapples. People love to eat me at football games, especially during the Super Bowl. I come in many brands in California. I'm Papa John's, I'm Domino's, in New York, I'm Brooklyn's something. What food am I? What am I? And then you have until Sunday in order to guess 2 people's posts. So post 1 would be, are you a hot dog? Are you a hamburger? And then you're going to answer, and then you're going to keep track of week 3 throughout the week. As you see people trying to guess, you're going to say, no, you're getting closer. And then you're going to give them more hints. So you don't just post and leave, okay? You actually have to keep up so that you can see what everybody, is everybody getting close to it? And then once someone guesses correctly your post, oh, is it a pizza? You would go, congratulations, you got it, or something like that, okay? So this shows me that you're keeping up with your posts. And that will be part of your discussion grade, is the ability to not just post 2 things, your initial post and then post 2 things and leave, but also to keep up with the other posters. So each student is responsible for their thread and responsible for posting at least 2 posts and keeping up with what everybody asks of you. Okay, so if I count, let's see, 20 students in a class, so you might get as many as 20 posts. You know, if everybody is assigned to have to guess your post, you got to keep up with it and tell that person, no, you and Jennifer, Jan, and Steve, you're all very close. But Donald, oh, he's the closest, that sort of thing. So it's like you're the teacher, okay? So this is actually a fun game, and students in the past loved the game so much, they didn't mind posting and coming back to this particular forum. So after you make your initial post, you guess. Here's another example. I am long and thin like a pencil. I am made of beef. I come between 2 buns. In New York, people often put sauerkraut on me. Some put relish, mustard, or ketchup. Nathan's makes a delicious version of me. Oscar Mayer does too. People eat me when they go to baseball games. I do not bark. I am much more popular than McDonald's Quarter Pounder. Some call me junk food. What food am I? Am I a pizza? You can write that in here. Am I a pizza? Am I whatever, okay? So what food am I? And then student number 1 said pizza. Student number 2 said hamburger. Student number 3 said hot dog, because Nathan's hot dogs. Ding, 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 ding. You got the right answer, okay? So yes, that's correct. You win the gold medal. So when you play this food game, you are practicing your ability to use descriptive language to give the reader a mental picture of whatever it is. You want the reader to have a mental picture of what you're describing. You want the reader to experience what you experience. So this way, when you write your stories inside your essays, you're able to use descriptive language to make me experience what is it like to be a nurse inside a COVID unit. What is it like to go to an ER and try to resuscitate somebody? And then you would then, as you write the story, you want to appeal to all 5 of my senses. And the more you can get the reader to appeal to their emotion, the more intense and better your essay writing becomes, and more interesting for the reader. Okay, so that's the purpose of the Week 3 forum, is to make you aware of how to use descriptive language. And that pretty much sums up this week's, parts of, here I let you read about parts of an essay, the parts of the, introduction, conclusion, This is the introduction and the conclusion. Your introduction should have your hook, background information, and the thesis statement. And the reason why it's an upside down, it's known as a funnel introduction, and the reason why it's upside down is because you start out general and then you end up very, very specific with your thesis statement. And then in your conclusion, your thesis statement is going to be the first sentence of the last paragraph, and then everything becomes more general. And that's known as a summary conclusion paragraph. And here you have your body paragraphs. Your body paragraphs are going to have a topic sentence, supporting sentences, and it's going to have a conclusion sentence. And so your essay will have an introduction paragraph, body paragraphs, and a conclusion paragraph. In your conclusion paragraph, you restate the thesis, and then you write 5 sentences that summarize your essay. And now that's it. Yeah, okay. Now I'm done with this, all of it. All right, and these are the parts of your body paragraph: topic sentence, supporting sentence, 1, 2. So your topic sentence talks about the main idea of your essay. The topic sentence talks about the main idea of your paragraph, and then each of the supporting sentences will then talk about this main idea. And then the topic sentence has to relate back to your 3 reasons: reason 1, reason 2, reason 3. So the topic sentence has to relate back to your thesis statement in order for you to have essay coherence. And then your concluding sentence sums up your paragraph and then transitions into the next paragraph. So this pretty much sums up the, this is like a summary of your essay. So if you have any questions, you can always feel free to email me, and I'm always here to help you, because that's my job, is to help my students and help them get a good grade. If you got a low grade on your essay outline, then I suggest that you can always come after my Zoom lecture. Like right now, it's 2:42 p.m. Pacific, which is 5:42 p.m. your time. So if you're to come at about this time period, then this is the time period I use to answer student questions, and then we can go over your paper on the whiteboard. So if you got less than a 70% or less than an 80%, then I will allow you to resubmit for a better grade. And if you're having trouble coming up with your thesis statement, or if you're having trouble, like you chose a topic that's too difficult, you can also go back to the I became a nurse because, and then choose from the 3 reasons that I went over in this lesson for your essay. And if you have any questions, it's this time period that I would use, instead of me talking to myself, it would be this time period I would use in order to give you what we're going to be doing for this lesson. So, and also to go over whiteboard, and then we get to meet face to face. So if you have no more questions for me, I will now sign off and end this video, and I wish everyone a great week, and that don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions. Email me.